Hello and welcome to the video. Today we're going to be trying to beat the entirety of Examination as a Controllable Infected. First, for those who don't know, what is Examination? Examination is a Roblox game where you infiltrate a facility with a ragtag group of up to 20 people. This facility can only be described as Chernobyl if everything went even worse. Imagine if Walter White's finest was put into the reactor before it blew up, turning everybody who wasn't vaporized into feral addicts. And all those addicts think that you have that special something in your pocket. To secure the facility, we have to turn on 2 generators, flip a valve, secure Sector 2's laptops, and finally, secure Sector 3 and kill Sin. Now normally, we do this with guns, weapons with high DPS and range to boot. But today, we're throwing away all those stinky, smelly firearms and we're instead gonna beat this game by beating the enemies as meat. During this challenge, I can only bash enemies and more importantly, punch them as a controllable infected. Melee weapons are also not allowed and neither are bayonets. As for what a controllable infected is, controllable infected are basically when your player character gets infected and is so angry that he can resist the substance in his veins, allowing him to turn into a superhuman. So now, I know what you're thinking, and it must look something like this. But the reality, well, is fairly different. Before we begin with the actual run, I am legally obligated to explain how being a controllable infected works. If you want to skip past this section, you can use the chapters to skip anywhere you want in this video. By the time this video comes out, this info will likely be a bit outdated, as the controllable infected is getting a new mechanic, some kind of parry/counterattack. Now, I took so long to make this video that this update has actually already been released. The counterattack is already here, and it's a little funky to trigger sometimes, but it is pretty dope. It seems to do about 300-ish damage. Can't say I know for sure. You can do a counterattack by pressing F. I'll put it on the Statboard later. It has a short cooldown and every counterattack you perform will heal back 8 HP. And also, Corpseman looks like this now. Not only do I not have that character model, but I like the older one better anyways, so I'll stick with this model for the time being. Now here is the stat board of every mechanic that the controllable infected has. I will be explaining this in parts throughout the video, so if you want to read it now, pause the video, screenshot it, shove it where the sun don't shine, I don't really care. Let's get to the actual run. We'll begin our adventure by starting Generator 1. And since there are no enemies here, we obviously face no problems. Next up, we're going to Reactor 4. Now get comfy, because we're going to be seeing this place a lot, as it's one of the easiest ways to get infected. I try to aggro a mutant here so we can begin our shenanigans, but unfortunately I slip on a pebble and trip, along with that mutant to tap my hands. You're going to be seeing this bug a lot, trust me. I then successfully aggro a mutant without tripping over wireless internet, and after waiting for some time, I get infected. Now, I get infected here, but how? Whenever you get to 10 HP or lower in Examination, your gas mask will break. If you survive, anyways. This means that Walter White's finest will slip into your mouth, infecting you as well. Then you'll start hearing things, your heartbeat will get loud, and eventually you start seeing enchantment table language. Then you turn. Do note that this is a pretty old recording by now. Nowadays, if you get put to 10 HP or lower by an enemy who has claws, they will instead turn your jugular into a ketchup dispenser. You will bleed out, even if you get healed. You can still get infected by doing a last stand, which is triggered by some enemies at low health, like lurkers, or have an enemy without claws and a kill animation do it. Now, let's get back to the run. After sitting in place and eyeing up the mutant for a while, I then start my first run as a controllable viral. I thank this mutant for his service by snapping his neck like a twig. I then proceed to slaughter everything in Reactor 4. I was also curious if the monolith could affect me, as I'm pretty sure that I'm infected by it. But unfortunately, it does still affect me, so I instead just run to the valve and turn it normally. Next up,
GILBERT.
Now I knew from a previous attempt of fighting GILBERT as a viral that he was pretty problematic. Hi GILBERT! He does a lot of damage and will kill me very quickly if I'm not careful. So to make this a bit easier, I resort to some cheese. Cheese. I aggro him and telepathically beat his meat through a wall, hoping he can't shoot back. I do get him into second phase, but he turns the corner and I die before I can do more damage. On my next attempt, I get infected, and after sitting in the room and staring at a wall for a while, I then turn into a controllable viral again. Starting my second attempt. On my way to GILBERT, a kamikaze blows up in my face. Now this would be a light work no reaction moment, but that kamikaze was apparently in touch with the Italian mafia and tied cement blocks to my feet, so I was stuck in place.
Light work, no reaction.
Okay, it's got a little kick. Oh!
Fortunately, this good Samaritan comes to help me out, staggering me so I become free. What a great guy. I then repay him with a telepathic hug. GILBERT quickly shows up around the corner, and I proceed to shove him into a wall like a high school bully on steroids and I just beat the ever-living shit out of those mutants. But how? As a controllable infected, you lose access to all of your guns and are left with only viral fists. Well, mostly. Now overall these fists are pretty bad, as they do very low amounts of DPS, but they can't stun lock most enemies. However, when you hit an enemy that is at low HP, you'll execute them, putting you in an animation where you brutally kill them. You are also invulnerable during this animation. Doing this will give you back 10% of your HP. As a CI you have 500 health, so this will heal you for 50 HP. Now, let's get back to the run. After defeating GILBERT, I quickly make my way over to the second generator. Then, I head over to Sector 2. After entering Sector 2, I proceed to bully the basic infected there. I was having lots of fun doing so, but little did I know that it would all be downhill from here. After getting past a Radaway and Riser, I killed a scientist lurker. But he too was a secret member of the Italian mafia, leaving me stuck in place until I was inevitably shot to death like some kind of execution. So again, I run to Reactor 4, get tapped by a mutant, and I wait for 30 minutes until I become a controllable infected. The astute viewer may have noticed that I've turned into a controllable viral 3 times in a row now. But how? Whenever you get infected, a couple things can happen. Let's lay them out. If the infection lasts for a bit of time, and you prematurely die before the infection can fully set in, you will always turn into a regular viral, which is basically an infected if it had extensive military training. To spell it out for you, that is BAD. However, if you survive until the end of the infection, there is a 90% chance you fall over and turn into a regular viral, with the other 10% being that you get up and turn into a controllable version. But can you increase this chance? Why yes. You can pick up your allies as dog tags to increase your chances by 5% for each dog tag. You can do this 7 times for a max chance of 45%. But how did I get this to happen 3 times in a row whilst being alone in a private server. Without dog tags, that is a 0.1% chance. Well, it's because the game was bugged. Yeah, the chance was 100% for some reason, but only in private servers, which is why I got the idea to make this video. Now, let's get back to the run. Whilst I was on my way back to Sector 2, I heard some familiar radioactive noises. Chimera was close. Surprisingly, Chimera was a bit of a pushover. Now he would do good damage to me, but I could not only tank it, but also keep him stun locked most of the time. Chimera ended up teleporting away, so I just went on my merry way. After beating up some infecteds along the way, I arrive again at Sector 2. I take revenge on the gunner that killed me last time. However, I foolishly alt-tab to a message on Discord right as a QuickTime event shows up, leaving me to cosplay as an owl with my head turned 180 degrees. A QuickTime event just popped up, but why? Whenever you are controllable infected, the virus will constantly brain blast you with AI-generated slop.
Leave me alone!
In an effort to remedy this, your character will attempt to game end himself. You must perform a QuickTime event every 45 seconds to stop this from happening. You also have a lifetime of 3 minutes plus 15 seconds for every kill that you get. Once this lifetime is over, or you fail a QTE, you will snap your own neck. Now, let's get back to the run. After waiting for an hour to become a viral, I quickly run over to Sector 2. But right before I can make it there, I get absolutely swarmed by infected. Like any good riot control officer, I beat them into the ground with excessive force. Once in Sector 2, I prepare myself for the gunners, not knowing that taunting does absolutely nothing. I try to lure out the slasher, but he just won't budge. I then run at the gunners and get all my healed health removed in one hit. As my HP drains quickly, I rush the gunners and I only get off one hit before dying. Did you catch that? I took a lot of damage for absolutely no reason. But why? Whenever you hold out your viral fists and you press G, you will perform a taunt, slamming on your chest like a gorilla. In the newest patch, the taunt does nothing. But in this older patch, the taunt is supposed to heal you. Keyword, supposed to. Taunting would visually increase your health by 10 each time, but in reality, this was fake health and would disappear if you took damage or actually healed. And let's just say I didn't exactly know this whilst recording. Now, let's get back to the video. I run to Reactor 4 again and I wait for several hours to become a viral. I meet Chimera along the way this time and we proceed to have an epic battle, where we stare at each other and occasionally trade hits. Chimera gets brain trauma. I then beat Chimera's meat until he enters second phase. I then decide to cut my losses and run towards Sector 2, but this turns out to be a terrible mistake. A couple of protesters catch up to me, labeling me as pig and saying I use excessive force. Instead of facing my problems, I immediately book it, but that darned rock shows up again and makes me trip. Not good. I get infected at Reactor 4 and wait a day to become a viral. I meet Chimera again and decide to finish what I started. I sneakily plant a pipe bomb into his suit. I watch as he fumbles around trying to find it, but then he decides to take me with him. F***ing bugs. Now comically, I not only survive his death explosion, but I also proceed to get killed by thin air as Chimera dies halfway through the execution. I somehow respawn in third person and get my ass tapped by a random riser. I'll spare you most of the next 20 minutes, because I basically spend my time doing the exact same thing over and over again, slowly chipping away at the objective. But there was this one instance where an execution brought me out of the map with no way to get back in. Damn. After a while, I finally make it back to Sector 2. I run past the slasher and I proceed to maul one of the gunners. I tried to find the other gunner, but due to being legally blind and how insanely dark everything is as a viral, I only see him at the last second, but then it's already too late. After a couple minutes, I make my way back to Sector 2, but I was unaware of the fact that this riser had secretly joined the Italian Mafia 5 minutes ago, and now I'm stuck in place for another 2 minutes waiting for the timer to run out. After painstakingly waiting several business days to get infected, I rush back to Sector 2. After hitting this slasher for 20 straight seconds, he finally succumbs to my punches. I kill the gunner and the special enemy before calmly turning on the laptop and opening Sector 2 logistics. But then, a new challenger approached. Mikhail. Mikhail is an absolute unit, being the third tankiest enemy of the entire game and being almost completely stun immune. I knew he was going to be a problem, so I immediately tried to resort to cheese strats, but even that wasn't enough. I got some good hits in, but ultimately, he folded my cloves with me still inside them. I try again much later, but I somehow do even worse. I get myself instantly cornered and get chopped to bits. After returning for a third time, I tried to cheese him through a door, but he instantly opens it. I try it again, but I fail again. I then just resort to cheesing him on this section, where he tends to get stuck for some reason. But this dude is so built different, he breaks out of the cheese and almost kills me. So I book it to the vents and finally finish him off there. I then rush back. However, this QuickTime event catches me at the worst possible time, and I get shot to death. Count your days, buddy. After staring at the wall for several weeks, I then become a viral for the 11th time. After stomping on some heads, I arrive at Sector 2, where I go to pick up the keycard. But apparently, I just failed this QuickTime event, forcing me to run back again. Whilst my character was slipping into madness, I also felt myself slip into madness. But at last, I make it back, grab the keycard, and I use the laptop to open Sector 3. But whilst running to Sector 3, I unfortunately run out of time. But I quickly arrive again at Sector 3, but now we have our first of many hassles. These two gunners, and especially this machine gunner. Now he can smell my low social credit score from there, and he immediately tries to execute me in a firing squad.
Huh?
Because I'm obviously restricted to melee, I'm forced to charge him head on and reach him before he kills me. Every time he spawns, I'm basically guaranteed to lose most of my health. And in this case, I just barely managed to kill him. I tried to charge the other guy, but I have way too little health to do anything. After contemplating my life's choices and how in the world I was ever going to kill Sin, I became a viral again. I performed some chiropractic treatments on the gunners and make my way into the infected subsection of Sector 3. Unfortunately, the shotgunner gets the better of me. After running back and taking out the machine gunner a second time, I then get revenge on the shotgunner, and I begin my journey planting C4. Haha, just kidding, I'm stuck in place again. I finally get to Sector 3 again, and I actually begin my C4 planting journey. The second cache falls, or well, explodes, and the third cache follows soon after, and then the fourth. I quickly run to the engineer's office, trying to get the door open, but for some reason it refuses to move. Seeing this, I decide killing myself was the better option. After performing a real-life QuickTime event, holding myself back from smashing my computer into 1,000 chunks,
Inside alone, run.
I make my way back again. Grab the machine gunner, sling him over my shoulder, perform testicular torsion, and I run to grab the keycard. I make it with only slivers of health to spare. And when I walked back, I knew nothing would stop me from making it to Sin. But then I remembered bullets existed. Well, after waiting several years for the infection to kick in, I ran back to Sector 3, finally entering the last area of the game. After killing this guy through a wall, and then disposing of these other two gentlemen, I finally meet the commander face to face, and he blasts my ass into a different dimension. Whilst running back, I run into Chimera, but he decides I haven't been cooked enough in this challenge, so he hits me with a teleport that is basically undodgeable, and I get murdered on the spot. On my next attempt, I kept hearing Chimera attack something in the distance. There was a high chance that this was Sin, but I didn't hear him shoot back or anything, so I wasn't entirely sure. Then, almost a minute later, whilst I was getting close to being infected, I heard the slashing stop.
Victory.
Even after all of this, the game can't help but give me a f***ing hollow victory. Now, I would have killed the commander eventually after throwing myself at him enough times, but at this point, I'd been recording for nearly 4 hours and I didn't really give a f*** anymore. So to truly finish the challenge, I had to get to the control room, but first, this machine gunner decided to give me a couple solid arguments for gun control. On my next attempt, I ended up killing everyone, and finally, make it to the control room, ending the challenge at last. I'm going to be doing this outro a little bit off script here because I ended up not really liking what I wrote. So first I'd like to mention what I thought of actually making this video. Not like editing, but like recording the actual challenge. So overall, it was pretty fun. Sector 1 was definitely a lot of fun. You know, beating up basic infected, that's always great. And seeing the kill animation, even if it got a little bit repetitive at the end. But overall was pretty fun. But dealing with any enemies that had a gun at all, like, you know, the end of Sector 2, dealing with Mikhail, and especially Sector 3 and Sin, it was just kind of hell, because you can't really do anything against gun guys as a controllable infected, besides just kind of run at them mindlessly, and then hope that you kill them, and hope that you don't take much damage in the process. You can't like parry them either, or like counterattack that you can now. At least I don't believe you can. So yeah, like I really hope that if the devs would watch this, please make it so controllable virals can't be staggered. That would be pretty fun. Would also make sense considering they're supposed to be like really strong and all. Anyways, yeah, so there were definitely some parts that were pretty frustrating. And also just the low amounts of DPS that you had available at the time. Of course, now you have counterattacking, but with some enemies, I just had to hit them for like 30 seconds straight in order to kill one of them. But ultimately, it was pretty fun. You know, actually doing something else in examination besides just shooting, because there isn't really much class variety. It's either guy with shotgun, guy with AR, guy with SMG. So ultimately, it was pretty fun. But yeah, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment. I read all of them. If you didn't like the video, don't do any of those things, or leave me some feedback. But without further ado, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Oh, why the f did you sprint out there like you were him, bro? I got him. He's dead.
I had a shotgun there.
Just pick Breacher again. You haven't even used the shotgun.
I tried to.
Yeah, and you instead got shotgunned.